We are now live for episode 10. Welcome one and all. Welcome one and all. We're going to get right to the business at hand since I got my man in the building. I'm with Unity all day long. And I got my man, DJ Drama in the building. Drum, what up?
What's poppin', baby? I was just making a comment like late. Shaking my
That nigga was already in there. I didn't know you was gonna come in so fast, my brother. You ain't
man.
How you doing, my brother?
What's up, baby? How you?
I'm good. Let me do my little intro for you, and then we're gonna get started. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it is episode number 10. I'm super happy. It's episode number 10, and today I'm interviewing somebody. Man, this guy, we go back a long ways, and he's made monster moves in the game. Monster moves. Super focused. I would have never, ever thought. And I'm super happy for all that you have accomplished, my brother. I was on your page, and I was looking. I saw you jumping the rope, and you was killing that shit. So I'm impressed, my brother. And I want you to keep that good shit up, my nigga. I really like that. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed. I can't complain. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna have a little bit of fun today. We're gonna have a good conversation. So
I've been waiting for this. I don't watch each and every episode.
I see that. You got me hyped. Every time I saw you jump in, I'm like, oh shit. And then when he was like, nah, Billy, let's go. I was like, oh yeah.
Cause look, man. For everybody tuned in, when Biddy first approached me about it, I was like, yeah, I'm with it. And he were like, yo, I need from 6 to 7. And then I was like, yo, can we do 30 minutes? And he was like, sure. And then I started watching. I was like, oh, fuck 30 minutes. We might wind up going 2 hours. And I just want to say what I appreciate about what you've been doing behind the velvet rope, and then why I was excited to do it is because a lot of the history that I know we're going to share today is not history that I always get to tell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of those, stories of early Atlanta and early my career and everything, and questions you're going to ask that the majority of people don't always ask.
They don't, but exactly. I'm going to go there with you, my brother. So we're going to kick it off just like this. I remember when we first met. And when I first met you, I'm a quiet person, if you don't know. And you were a super quiet person. Yeah. And I never saw, me being 100%, I never saw where you are today, that the person I met then was going to do what you did now. So, in order for me to start the right way, I want you to tell me what this guy was thinking about.
Oh, that's crazy.
Let's go back. That's where we started.
Yeah,
here today.
That's Central High School, Philadelphia. Honestly, that guy, his goal really, when he started DJing, was just to get his name on a flyer. Like, when I was going to school, Broad and Alney was the train stop where a lot of the high schools would congregate. And back in the day when, they would hand out flyers for the weekend parties and everything, and like, that was all I knew at the time. So I was just like, man, if I can do this DJ shit and get my name on a flyer, like, I've accomplished something. You know what I'm saying? And that was like, when people ask me like about my goals and everything, I always tell them that story. Like, that was my only real goal when I started DJing. So everything else has kind of been extra. You know what I mean?
You won early then, right?
Real early. Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when you decided that you wanted to be a DJ, and what prompted you to want to be a DJ?
I was about 12, 13. It was the transition between like 8th grade and high school, and I used to really be like deep into skateboarding, and I was like, we used to go down to Love Park. Yeah, we used to go down to Love Park. Hold on, I keep hearing the echo. I don't know if it's on my end. Let me try to take these off. Hear me? You can hear me?
Is that better, people? Say something, John.
Yeah, you can. Yo.
It's a little off now. It's worse than it was before.
Oh, really? I didn't put my headphones back in. I just was hearing the echo on your side. So what?
Hold on. It's not on, right? No.
I used to be real into skateboarding, but I used to hang with niggas that's like professional now. Like Stevie Williams was my homeboy when we was like kids. So they were always better than me. So I was, I didn't see a future in skateboarding. And I went to the movies to go see Juice. And that was my first time really seeing a DJ on a big screen, Omar Epps' character GQ. And I was like, man, that looks like something I could do. Obviously I was always into hip hop, but I couldn't really rap. So, I decided, that I was going to try DJing out. I convinced my mom to give me, a turntable and one mixer. So she bought me a turntable and a mixer. And then I just started to in high school, go downtown. I would get lunch money. I would get like $5 a day for lunch money, what have you. And I would never buy lunch. And I would go downtown Philly,
buy records.
I would buy records. And that was how I started my record collection and how I started, making mixtapes. And, my sister took me to New York, the summer after ninth grade. I went to 125th Street. And that was the first time I had ever really seen mixtapes for sale. And I bought DJ SNS Old School Part 2 mainly because the majority of the records he had on that tape, I didn't have those records on vinyl because I hadn't started buying vinyl yet. SNS's tape, it changed my life. I listened to that tape all summer. I knew every blend, I knew every cut, I knew everything SNS said on the tape. And it was just that started my fascination with mixtapes.
Okay. When did you get your first opportunity to DJ a party, an event? How old were you and where were you?
I was in Philly. My first actual party was this kid named Ari. It was his 13th birthday. It was at his house. He paid me $40. I probably had still in me. I fancy that, and I had equipment from somebody, and that was my first actual ever party. The first time I ever did a club was maybe about 11th grade. We had this club in Philly that was a real hot spot for teens. It was called Winners, and my man Jawan Lee, matter of fact, it was Jawan Lee's party. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was Jawan's party, and he hired me to. I forget what the event was, but yeah, that was my first time at a club, so I was pretty hyped.
What was that experience like? Were you nervous? Did you rock? What was that like?
I'm a lot of times I have this nervous energy before I have gigs, but it all, I may not have known it at the time, but I enjoy it because I know that I'm gonna be on my A game when I feel the little jitters or what have you. I really don't even remember. I don't think it was that cracking of a party, but I started to get a little name in Philly, even beyond the clubs. I started making mixtapes and hustling them in high school and everything. And when Doo-Wop came out with 95 Live, and he had various people freestyle on that tape, I pretty much did his whole format. And I was coming up when the Roots were first getting their deal, and a local artist at the time named Bahamadia was my next door neighbor. So I went to various people like Black Thought and Dice Raw and Bahamadia and other groups that were known in Philly, and I got them to freestyle on my tape. So and it was called Illadelph. So I made my own Philly version of Doo-Wop's tape, and I was just I was fascinated with mixtape culture. So I was watching Clue and I said, watching S and all these guys early on, and just that started my mixtape career even in high school before I was even obviously to where I became. You know what I mean?
So literally, you had a name for yourself as a high school DJ. You were literally making moves.
Yeah. I had a little rep in high school, so it was I was coming up and known, in the hip hop circle in Philly. Again, I definitely, like I said, the Roots are very special to me because they were the first example of me seeing somebody get a record deal and going from being local in Philly to having a record deal and being on TV Raps and BET. And I saw these guys do it, so I was like, man, you can really do this shit. It can really happen. So no, go ahead.
You got it.
Nah, so guys like that, and guys like the Roots and Bahamadia, these were all people that were literally right next to me, and I'm a kid at the time. I'm 16, 17, and they're like really, Bahamadia took me to New York one time to go see, it was a birthday party. It might have been like Guru, rest in peace, from Gangstar's birthday party, and Premier was DJing, and I was like in the mix as a youngster, so yeah, my rep was somewhat known in the Philly scene and like a small hip hop circle.
Okay. What grade are you in at this time? 10, 11, 12th grade? I need to get a little clarity here. Huh?
Like 10th, the stories I'm telling are definitely between like 10th to 12th
10th
grade.
to 12th grade. Okay, so then at some point you gotta decide whether you're gonna go to college, where you're gonna go to college, or if you're going to go to college. Did you ever say, hey, I could do this DJ shit for real and not even go to college, or was it like, yo, I gotta go to college?
Nah, my mind wasn't there yet. I mean, when I was in those in high school, my career choice at the time was still to like go into film and like be like a film director. But I always wanted to, I always thought I would wind up in New York. Like I was fascinated with Brooklyn, and I wanted to go to NYU, and New York was fascinating to me at the time because I spent a lot of time there. Like I would, it was it's an hour and a half from Philly, so I would go
on the highway,
just like that, and Jersey Turnpike. But I never, at the time, I never like where my DJ career would go. I mean, it was always something that I loved, and it was always something, that was a hobby, but also that was bringing in a couple dollars at the time. But I also, when I decided to come to Atlanta, I used to, my dad, took a trip to Atlanta in like '94 for the first time, and I really got to experience the culture in the city, and just like young people of color like doing so many amazing things and everything. So I somewhat fell in love with the city early on, and the opportunity for me to go to Clark Atlanta came. I had visited. I had a friend that went there, and I liked the vibe. I liked the school, and I wound up getting an academic scholarship. And I knew Atlanta. I knew Atlanta was a city that I could still do my 1-2 thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely wanted to go somewhere where I knew I could be in a mix, and it was Atlanta was the mecca at the time. I mean,
absolutely,
it still is,
absolutely.
So, but I never, but at the time I never was thinking like, oh, I can go be a DJ and not go to school. Like my mom was in education, so she always pushed school on me pretty hard, and so I knew I was going to college, and I just was like, all right, I'm gonna find a school that I can still like, get my hustle on.
Okay, so DJ Sense told me that when he first met you at Clark, you kind of like looked at him like, come on, nigga, I'm already popping. Who are you? Tell me about y'all when y'all first met. What was that like? 2 years? Let's go.
So I don't know if that was the vibe I gave off, but so me and Sense met like first day. I guess it was I don't know if it was the freshman orientation or it was like the first day of school, but as soon as we moved into Brawley Hall, I was on the second floor, he was on the third. My room number was 215, matter of fact. I'll never forget that. And I guess somebody told him, yo, it's another DJ on in here from Philly. So I remember going upstairs to his dorm room, and like he had his turntable set up, and like we definitely battled the first time.
See, I was just waiting to see if you was going to say it. That's right. Yeah. It was a battle.
Yeah, no, we definitely battled the first time we met, and
I love it.
And Sense had told me like he had heard of me, like there was a party he said he was supposed to do in Philly, and then they told him like, nah, we got DJ Drama, so he was a little aware of me at the time, and then we just like I watched Sense's Behind the Velvet Rope, so he told it very accurately. Like when we met, I definitely was more of the underground type of cat, like I was real. I was black.
You was in the cut. You was
Black
in the
Star.
cut.
I still had my dreads back then. I was looking like a Rastafarian. Like, I was J. Rooted Damager, Tribe Called Quest. And it was what's so special about coming to school here is because very early on, I know I did, and I'm sure Sense will tell you the same thing. When you come to the AUC and you have so many young people from all over the country and all over the world, and everybody wants to hear their shit, and they feel the same way about their shit that
you feel about yours.
Yeah, the way I felt about fucking Wu-Tang and Smith and Wesson is the same way they feel about Go-Go in the DMV, is the same way they felt about bass music in Miami, is the same way. You know, that was the first time I ever heard Chopped and Screw, was during orientation in Atlanta, and I was like, you know, why is this shit so slow? You know what I'm saying? So I was learning culture off top, and it helped me become the DJ I am, because, you know, you literally had to appease everybody. And then me and Sense was so like, we gelled so much when it came to gigs, because, you know, he definitely was more of the commercial DJ, and I was kind of more of the underground, and even more than that, like, you know, and Sense will tell you, like, I took this shit very seriously very early on. And, you know, I think, you know, us being together, he was able to see like how focused I was about, you know, taking this shit to the levels that we eventually went.
I believe that Sense was the guy out there running around making the relationships, and you were the guy that was in the cut creating. So for a year, it's you
and I mean, it cut you off there, but and
that's
then,
okay.
you know, we still, you know, like during those days, I was still in a different realm and world. Like, you know, like my roommate after my freshman year, Rubik's, you know, he introduced me to Quali and Most very early on, and I started DJing Lyricist Lounge when it came to Atlanta. And, you know, I used to do like the poetry slams at Yin Yang Cafe on Wednesdays. So, you know, I would be at MJQ, you know, so I was really in that mix, you know what I mean?
So,
like
heavy. You was in that mix heavy. So is that where automatic relaxation came from?
Yeah, actually, so automatic relaxation, when I first came to school and I started making I started like back to making mixtapes. You know, at the time, you know, I would always want to like, I would set up on campus, and I had this little yellow radio, and I would literally like set up on top of the trash cans, or sell them when I was working in Marco's Pita. And automatic relaxation, the first automatic relaxation was actually called Hip Hop Lovables. And it was called that at the time. You know, the genre that we have now, or whether it's neo soul, or whether it's like, you know, Kanye or Drake, or, you know, the diaspora of hip hop, like hip hop love songs wasn't the thing at the time. Like they were, you know, I had to dig to find those type of records. So automatic relaxation almost became this like neo soul hip hop love songs vibe early on, before it was even a genre and it was even a culture. And it was something that people gravitated towards those very early. That was how me and Mars actually got cool. I know we'll get to that later, but you know that, Mars heard of automatic relaxation and was and hollered at me like, "Yo, I'm fucking with that shit."
Yo, I played them joints in my car all the time. I love automatic relaxation. I was almost disappointed when automatic relaxation disappeared.
I know.
But we're not gonna do all that. But that was great stuff. That shit was a vibe.
I know you like.
That's a vibe.
Yeah, no, you liked it, because I remember that's how you saw me, like, and respectfully, like,
that's right.
That's how I saw myself at times. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah.
Okay, so tell me about how you guys got together, and if you remember where this is.
That looks like a studio, if I'm not mistaken. Like, yeah. So I think that has to be like after 2000, because I cut my dreads in like 2000. So any picture when I got like short hair is after that. So me and Sense met our first year of college. Cannon came the next year. So me and Sense came in '96. Cannon came in '97, and Cannon started to, you know, be on campus, and he was trying to befriend me kind of early. And I had a homeboy who told me like he was kind of corny. Like he had went to high school with him, and he's like, that guy's kind of corny. And I was like, all right. So I kind of went egg Cannon at first, like, when he first was coming around.
Okay.
And then one day he wound up giving me this beat CD, and I went home and I listened to it, and that shit was fire.
Cannon. Let's go.
That shit. He was still Donnie Brasco at the time. He hadn't even started using his real name yet. And yeah, that was it. I was like, oh, Bull's hot. Like I'm fucking with Bull. Like, so we started to get cool, and you know, Don was, you know, it like in those early years, it was definitely me and Sense like this, and then Cannon was here, and then as time went on, we just started to all gel and started to really just befriend each other more than anything. You know what I'm saying? And you know, obviously Cannon was from Philly too, and he was a DJ, so yeah, we just got cool. He started coming to the crib. I started, you know, going to his crib and just, you know, vibing and listening and working on music and just hanging out really more than anything.
You know what I always thought that was dope about the three of y'all is because each of y'all were three totally different people that brought three totally different skill sets to the table that formed some shit that was really, really strong. So are you at this time when you and Ken and me, have you become a super friend as of yet?
No, that happened years later.
Okay, so let's roll there.
Okay.
Come on. So tell me how the whole super friend situation came about that they say, hey, we want you guys down with us. Tell me about that.
So again, you know, as Sense had told part of the story, you know, when he was interning at Hot 107.9, and that was kind of, Sense started interning at Hot 107.9 and started making a lot of connections, you know, with Cersei, with John, with Mars, with Trauma, you know, and all those guys. So, you know, I mean, if we go back, you know, in those early years, it was very difficult. Like when I first got out of school, or even still in my school years, like, you know, Trauma was on fire. Like Trauma got like on the radio maybe like 97, and you know, they had their show, and he was doing like all the live broadcasts. And I'm not gonna lie, it was hard for me in the city. Like it was
That's right, keep it real. Keep it real, that's right.
When I used to go around to like various places outside of campus and be like, yo, I'm DJ Drama, like they was like Trauma, and you know, like
I remember those times. There was a lot of confusion during that time. It was a lot of confusion.
It was rough for me, like to the point, you know, to the point where I was about to change my name, like, and I was like, man, this shit is too complicated. Like, nobody's paying attention to me. And with all due respect to Trauma, he was doing his motherfucking thing. Right. And Mars told me, don't change your name for nobody. And it's crazy to think about that because, you know, they're best friends, you know what I'm saying? Right. And with all due respect, you don't change your name for nothing, bro. Like, and it wasn't even just Trauma. Like, even K Slade was on fire at the time. And he was the drama king. And I was just like, man, it's going to be tough out here for me. So going back, so Mars and Trauma were like doing everything, you know.
I got a question. Hold tight. How did you work past that issue that you were dealing with making your name known in the city so that people didn't confuse Trauma to Drama? What did you do? How did you get hot?
I busted my motherfucking ass. I mean, it was just hard work and dedication. Like, I mean, a lot of it obviously had to do with Gangsta Grillz, you know, that I'm sure we'll get to, but I didn't have a choice. I mean, I'm glad Mars told me that because even if you look at some of the old mixtapes, like I went by Dramatic, you know what I'm saying? I tried to like differentiate it a little bit, but I just, you know, you know, it's a blood sport in a way. Like you know, it's a competitive sport. You know what I mean? And everybody got to go for theirs. You know what I'm saying? And me and Tron have always had a great relationship. Like it never was no issue. He never came to me no way. I never came to him no way. Like, you know, like it never. And it's crazy because his real name is Tyree, and my name is Tyree. So it just complicated shit even more. You know what I'm saying? So I wound up meeting Mars. I was actually writing for this like newspaper magazine at the time, and I called him to do an interview, and I went to do an interview with him, and I interviewed him when he was doing 5 o'clock on Hot 107.9, and then I gave him an automatic relaxation tape, and he fucked with it, and you know, he got in touch with me, and he was like, "Yo, I want to do a tape with you." So we were doing. Me and Mars had this series called The Glamorous Life. Yeah, it was called The Glamorous Life early on. It was like an R&B CD and everything. And you know, like the Super Friends existed in the sense of where Mars Trauma and I think Doc and were like the originators, and then they kind of, you know, started to build. Yeah, and then they, you know, Fahrenheit. They put on Fahrenheit. They put on Shakim.
C-Styles.
They put on C-Styles. C-Styles came a little later though.
Yeah.
So the opportunity for Sense to become a super friend happened first, and you know, Sense was on the radio. He was doing their show, the Emergency Room, with him. He was you know, getting big in the clubs and everything. And once Sense got down, he pretty much went to him and was like, "Yo, you should put my homeboys down." And I think, if I'm not mistaken, me and Cannon like joined at the same time, because I remember we went to Houston's and had a meeting. Or maybe I joined like right before him, but me and Cannon like since brought us in around the same time.
Okay. In my mind, I feel like during the early days, during this time right here, you weren't really interested in DJing in the mainstream in the club. Am I wrong when I say that?
Yeah, you're wrong. I was. I didn't get those opportunities. Like,
I never felt you were looking for them.
Nah, I mean, I was looking for anything. And to your point about how did I make my name the way it was, in those times, man, there was nothing that I said no to. I don't give a fuck if it was a barbecue, a bar mitzvah, a family reunion, a open up slot, a closed slot. Like, I was doing whatever. So, but at the time, Sense was more of, you know, Sense was more in the mix, you know, early on when it came to like working with you or when it came to working with Al. So a lot of the opportunities that I would get would normally be like either the open up or the closer. And I don't know if you remember, like, you know, when Karma was popping or when it became the Mark, like I was the guy in the front.
That was your house.
Yeah, that was
your house.
Yeah, like shout out to my man Tory Grimm, 50 Boss. Like, you know, Wednesday nights, you know, that was my spot, and I was, you know, I got to play a lot of eclectic stuff, and I just think that's how people like saw me in the scene.
That's how we saw you.
Yeah, like, and you know, like I would, you know, you guys would give me the 10 to 12 slot or the 2 to 4, and I wasn't saying no, I was going for it. But I also, you know, to your point, I definitely had somewhat of a vision because, you know, for me early on, I remember like, you know, I would make demo tapes to try to get on at the radio, or like I felt like the promoters weren't paying attention to me. So that's why I went as hard as I did on the mixtape shit. Cause I was like, it don't matter if somebody else not paying attention to me. I know where I'm going to be. So whatever it took, like, you know, so I spent a lot of time at Kinko's and, you know, and making covers and, you know, putting mixtapes together and calling stores. Like I was just as much into that as I was the clubs. You know what I'm saying? So every in the daytime, you know, I would go to Clark's campus or Spelman's campus or Georgia State's campus and hustle CDs. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was making probably more money doing that than I was in the clubs at the time. On a good day, I would come home with like $500. So, you know, at 21, 22, that was good money for me. But I definitely wanted to be in the spots and be in prime time and be that guy, but it wasn't, you know, the opportunities didn't necessarily present themselves for me.
Okay. So
and we can come back to that, but I would definitely say, and shout out to Certified Pat on here, like when me and Pat started to working together almost like maybe 10 years ago, he started to tell me that there was always this how do I say it? The word in Atlanta, even after I got hot, was that Drum can't do clubs. Like Drum can't rock clubs.
Yeah, I always wonder who started that. Who started that shit?
Al started it. No, I don't know. Al definitely doesn't think, to this day, he probably don't think I can rock clubs.
And you can rock clubs. You're a real DJ.
No, for sure. But and Pat used to be like, man, it's crazy that people think that, because he wound up coming on the road with me and seeing what I did every weekend out of town. And he's like, I don't know why it's like that in Atlanta. Like niggas really don't think you know how to DJ a club. They just think you like a mixtape DJ.
So let's try to figure out why that was. Even if whether Al said it, no, I don't think he said it. I don't remember if he did. If he did it, then he did. It wouldn't shock me if he said it. So I remember that you had heavy focus. BL, what up? You had heavy focus on mixtapes. You were dropping mixtapes like dimes, my nigga, dropping them back to back in all different stores. And so I'm going to assume that your name built heavy in that space, in the mixtape space. And then you were able to get the opportunity to go out of town at some point and DJ in other places, not because of clubs, but because of mixtapes. Am I correct when I say that?
Absolutely. I mean, there was still a lot of time in between, like, obviously because I spent a lot of years on the road with T.I. as his DJ.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the reason why I was able to like garnish, you know, the type of events or gigs that I've been doing for the last however long is definitely because of, you know, what I've accomplished on the mixtapes. You know, it wasn't because people knew me in Atlanta, like from killing the clubs per se. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely from the mixtapes. So
I could also say this, like this is not right now where we're at, but forward. I always remember that you would say, "Nah, baby, niggas not paying me enough in the club. There's no way I'm gonna take that." And I correlate that to the fact that you were making $500 selling mixtapes outside, so you couldn't even in your mind 300, 250. Nah, y'all can keep that shit. Yeah. No way. Infamous said. Infamous said on his interview. I don't even know if he was on yet, but Infamous said, "Yeah, I remember. I'm DJing and shit, and I'm getting $500 a day to DJ." And drama tells me, "No disrespect, my friend, but you're gonna get tired of that real fast." He said,
I don't even remember telling him that, but it sounds like something I would say.
"No, listen, it's a fact."
But the thing is, though, you know, like for any young DJs listening or tuned in or knowing my stories, like, you know, I I I paid my dues in the sense of
sure.
like I did a lot of open up and close out slots for $300 or 200 or 400, whatever. And you know, me and you and me and AG and me and the promoters that I work with have always had a great rapport and a great relationship, to the fact that even when I decided that I wasn't going to do that, it was never a sour thing. Because even when I would when I would do my birthday parties for them, I would come to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I did it in one of my biggest parties ever at Visions or at Velvet Room. So it was just a different type of working relationship that I realized, you know, my value and my worth. And it was like, you know, I was thankful to be in that position. I mean, not everybody gets to do that. Like, you know, I remember a time when I had to, filled in for Shaq Kim, you know, in the early years, and I was out of town, and you know, I wound up getting $1,500, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, to be where I am at now, and to anybody listening, like, it's not a situation between DJ and promoter where you like, man, fuck them, or they're not paying me. It's like, no, you got to make your worth to what it is. You know what I'm saying? And respectfully, in Atlanta is not the most DJ orientated city. And so it's like, you know, when you're working, your goal, regardless of whatever you're getting paid, is to make a brand and a name for yourself so you can up the ante. And even if I'm not necessarily DJing in Atlanta for X amount of dollars, that doesn't mean I can't come to you, Biddy, or to whoever, and say, yo, let's do an event together. And let me help bring the people in. You feel what I'm saying?
That's right. You brought value to the table. What's also interesting that you may not have seen, but I saw. So most of the DJs were all running the same race. So you literally could kind of see who was where, like, oh, he's 1, he's 2, he's 3. You're not even on the field, honestly, right? And then out of nowhere, and so, you know, we're gonna go into that, and we're gonna start it right with the day Sense came to me, and Sense said, "Yo, Biddy, you know, the Super Friends, they cool and everything, but me and Drum and Ken, we've been talking, and we about to go do our own thing, right? Your own thing." He said, "Yeah." So you got an idea, concept, everything. I said, yeah, what is that? He said, the affiliates. I said, oh, shit, the affiliates? That's crazy. Or niggas gonna be mad. Let's talk about that. What happened? What drew that into play?
Shout out to my man DJ Head. All right, so I'm gonna tell a part of the story that nobody has told yet.
Oh shit! Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Drum roll, please. Let's go.
I'm gonna tell the part that nobody has told yet. So the Super Friends was on fire. Like it was, it was a hold on Atlanta to the point like where Mars probably was right when he said like niggas had gotten so big that it was like people was probably like, all right, I need to cool them down. Me, Sense, and Cannon were the young boys at the time. I mean, out of everybody in the Super Friends at the time, we were definitely the youngest and the lowest on the totem pole. So when I came to the table, Atlanta, when it came to mixtapes, Atlanta was pretty much dominated by Big Oomp, Monte, Jelly. They ran mixtapes. And they had a stronghold on them to the point where it didn't even feel like anybody even wanted to challenge that. And, we were young mixtape guys. Like that was where we found a lot of passion in. I know I did, definitely, you know what I'm saying? So, when we joined the Super Friends, like that was still kind of our thing. And then there was definitely some confliction between like we were all trying to get the same sponsorships and the same money, and it was like we were trying to get it on the mixtape side, but the older guys were trying to get it on the events and the party side, and it just like they kind of told us to like, yo, y'all got to chill out a little bit, like the mixtape thing it's not gonna go where these parties are gonna go. And to be honest, like, and this is not a slide on the Super Friends. This is just where the climate was and where I was when I joined the Super Friends, and we started to become a part of them. I was not making a lot of money. Like I started to realize, like, I don't know why, but my finances weren't intact to the point where I was ready to move back to Philly. Like it had gotten bad for a minute. Like I was like, man, this shit ain't working out here. Like I'm about to go home. And Super Friends, Sense was managed by Real, and Sense brought Real, shout to Real Street Promotions, to the table with Super Friends, and Real became the manager of the whole Super Friends. And at the time, me and Real didn't necessarily see eye to eye on everything, and I was having a little discrepancies early on, and I spoke up on them, but nobody really wanted to hear me at the time, so around the time right before we left, I had Gangsta Grillz was kind of starting to bubble, and I was making a name for myself. It was becoming a brand. Jacob York came to the Super Friends and said, "Yo, I'm gonna give y'all $50,000 to do an album, to do a Super Friends album." He came to a meeting one time, put that on the table. Then the Super Friends all had a meeting and said, "All right, we have this opportunity to do a Super Friends album." Something that, Mars had always wanted to do for a long time. And the conversation became, well, if we do an album, we should call it Gangsta Grillz because out of everything that we have going on, Gangsta Grillz is the largest brand. So at the time, I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds cool. Like, we can do that. Because of my discrepancies with the Super Friends, I went to Sense, I went to Cannon, I was like, yo, I don't really know if I want to give the Gangsta Grillz album to this, organization that everything's not kosher. So I went to Mars and I told him like, yo, I don't know if I really, want to do that. Respectfully, I just don't want to call it Gangsta Grillz. I'm having a little issues with the organization and the management. And Mars was kind of hot at me. And remember, that was the time when we had the bowling thing going on. And
I remember that.
He told me, don't come to bowling.
Oh, and bowling was popping.
He told me don't come.
Oh,
and
shit.
And in solidarity, in a sense, didn't go neither. And that was right then when we was like, yo, shout out to my man Ace McLeod too. Ace McLeod came up with the concept and the idea of the affiliates. And we were like, man, fuck it, let's just try to do our own thing. And I remember we came to you and told you the idea. And then, we wound up, joining forces with you over at Cloud9.
That was dope. I like that. I didn't know all of those things right there. Okay, yeah. So I want to take a small step back. So prior to Gangsta Grillz, most of the music that you put out was mixed, meaning that it was a bit of soul, a bit of R&B, a bit of hip hop. It was never one strong genre. What's up, Hannah? I'm glad that you're here, my dear. It wasn't really one strong genre. When you went to Gangsta Grillz, it felt like a big ship to the right. How the fuck did that happen? Where did that come from?
Shout to Hannah in here. You know, she was there for them years. So basically, Gangsta Grillz is as a concept. If you have to break it down, was like the South had a certain style of mixtapes, which kind of like there was this to put it simply, like somebody told me one time, like, yo, when you do a South mixtape, like they don't want to hear no talking, you know, they don't want to hear exclusives and freestyles, you know, people from the South just want to hear the music that they know and they're familiar with. So Gangsta Grillz in concept and theory is like up north mixtape with southern music and southern artists. So, you know, when I started it and when I first started to get into what I wanted to make of it, you know, one, I always realized that I wanted it to be a brand, you know what I'm saying? To the point where I would focus more on making Gangsta Grillz a brand than I would DJ Drama. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I followed the up north template. You know what I'm saying? I went in. You know, the first person to ever host it was Lil Jon. You know, he when he did his drops, and you know the classic Gangsta Grillz drop is his voice, and you know the tape after that I wound up not having a host, and I just kind of ran his voice back, and it became like a staple. It became a fixture, and you know, Gangsta Grillz it was growing. And I was going against the grain. I was doing everything they told me that niggas in the South didn't want to hear. I was doing. I was talking shit on the tapes. I was getting T.I. and Killer Mike and David Banner and Bone Crusher, you know, all these guys that do freestyles and exclusives. And, you know, I was playing new music and I was just seeing a change really happen. And I was focused, man. Like I was calling stores all across the country, giving them free CDs. And, you know, every day I would be out in all the flea markets, just, you know, hustling and grinding in the tapes and, you know, also building my relationships to be able to get records with people and do projects. And, I started, you know, one of the first people to ever, like, even before Gangsta Grillz existed, one of the first rappers to ever come to a freestyle for me was T.I. So when Grand Hustle was kind of building and growing, and you know, Tip was in the early years really becoming, you know, that guy in the city, I was kind of on my grind, and Jason Jeter had reached out to me, like we were very close in contact during those years, and you know, he came to me with the idea, the concept of he was like, yo, I see what you're doing with Gangsta Grillz, like this shit's really, you know, becoming something. I got this idea. I want to do an all T.I. and PSC Gangsta Grillz, like, you know, just all Grand Hustle. And I was like, hell yeah, you know, I was like, I had been waiting for something like that, you know, because I was loving what Who Kid and Green Lantern were doing with 50 and Eminem and all those guys and everything. So when Jeter came to me with that concept, you know, I jumped at the opportunity, and that was when we made Gangsta Grillz meets T.I. and PSC in the streets special edition. And that was the first Gangsta Grillz that was strictly one artist. Like, it wasn't a compilation. It wasn't various songs on there. It was like from top to bottom. It was all T.I. and Grand Hustle, and it was all, you know, music that they couldn't get from anywhere else. So it literally was like a street album, and that shit took off in the streets. Like, you know, it was like, all right, I had arrived. You know what I mean? And it was like, you know, there was some contention for the crown in Atlanta.
Okay, so two things in here that I want to throw in here. Make sure I get this.
Shout the
one, yes, they in here for you, baby.
Monte was popping.
So I remember in the office, mixtapes would come in, CDs, the inserts in, and the next day they'd be gone. They come in and they're moving out. They come in and they moving out. The shit was like drugs in the beginning, no bullshit. You was fucking. I was like, God damn, what the fuck is they doing over there? It was killing it. So I definitely wanted to say that. Then, since you just said this about this particular mixtape, this particular Gangsta Grillz the one that let you know it was official, you had made it, I'm in. Was that the tape, or was it something that hadn't come yet?
You know what's crazy is I feel like I've had that moment various times.
Oh, I know that. I have it here. I have it here. You had that moment probably 3-4 times, probably. So
Yeah,
let's go. Tell me about
maybe
it.
more than that. That tape was definitely special. Like I definitely felt like, all right, I've arrived. But honestly, like the one that changed my life clearly is Trap or Die. Like that was
Of
really
course.
when
Not yet.
it was
Not
like,
yet.
oh, okay.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right,
Not
all right.
yet. So
We'll
I
go
have
back.
one question before we go there, since you're there. Did a T.I. Gangsta Grillz put you somewhere? Did it? Did
Definitely.
any? Okay, which one?
That the one I'm talking about. Cause you gotta remember at the time, Biddy, we did the Gangsta Grillz, you know, as much as of a compilation, as much of the work that I laid with that brand, it became what it became because of Tip. Like, there's a very controversial Jeezy interview he did with Charlemagne a couple months ago, where Jeezy went on an interview and
Y'all was bugging. I saw it. I was like, what?
Charlemagne asked him about there's always been talk about who Jeezy has put on or hasn't put on, and the first thing Jeezy said, and shout out to my brother Jeezy, that's my brother for life. The first thing Jeezy said in that interview was, "Well, I put drama. Drama may argue it, but I put him on, you know, and Drama wasn't in the streets like that until Trap or Die came." When I look at it, Jeezy came up together. You feel what I'm saying? I don't. If there's only one person that I feel like I could give credit to for putting me on, if we're gonna talk that, and he probably wouldn't even tell you that, but it's Tip. Like the only nigga that can really say he put me on is Tip, and I don't think Tip would even say that. I just, again, like Gangsta Grillz as a series, as a street album is what it is because of the T.I. and PSC in the streets. Gangsta Grillz, everything followed suit from that. You know what I'm saying? So if you remember, around that time we did the first Gangsta Grillz party at Fuel, and I wound up getting Tip, Killer Mike, Bone Crusher, and then I remember we put Fab on there. You got Fab to come. I don't even remember seeing Fab, but I remember Fab because I didn't even know Fab yet. Fab came to the party, and then Jeezy was actually at that party because that was one of the first conversations we had, and he told me like, "Yo, I was at that your Gangsta Grillz party at Fuel, and like I don't know if you know, but streets really fuck with you, my guy. Like niggas is really tuned in. You know what I'm saying?"
That's how you know that he didn't do it. No disrespect to Jeezy. Jeezy wouldn't have touched you if you wasn't already warm to hot. You was already warm to hot, my nigga. It was happening.
Right. Yeah, because there was a lot of DJs he could have went to. I mean, it wasn't like I was the only option. There was a reason why he came to me to do his tape.
You are now the DJ of ATL Streets. Drama and ATL, this shit was like a merger. Sign it off, let it go. So come on, let's talk about Jeezy and Gangsta Grillz.
Okay. So Coach used to live around the corner from me and Sense in the Fourth Ward. We was on Glen Iris. He was on the street right around the corner off Boulevard. We met him when we first moved into the neighborhood. I remember his sons being youths. He had this group called Jadis first. Actually, one of the members is Bobby Creekwater, who later got signed to Shady Records.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had a long standing relationship with Coach, and Coach introduced us to Jeezy, and Jeezy would come to the crib, and I would make show CDs for him. Like early on, Jeezy would he would do shows in Macon before when he had Come Shop With Me album out. He had the Come Shop With Me van. and everything, and he would give me like $100, and I would just put together like little freestyles on there. When Hannah Sam put together the party trap and daughter, and then so that's how we met early on. So after that, it was probably like right after the Gangsta Grillz party that we did. Coach and Jeezy wanted to take me to lunch. They was like, "Yo, we want to take you to lunch." We went to Harry and Sons, and that was when Jeezy told me, he was like, "Yo, I was at your party, like, the streets really fuck with you. Like, I don't even know if you know how much the streets really fuck with you." And I didn't to an extent because I was a DJ. Like, I was in the streets selling mixtapes, but I wasn't in the streets.
Wasn't in the streets. That's right.
So, I think, I don't know if he first told me or if June first told me that, Meech used to come to go drive the campus and grab Gangsta Grillz early on. So long story short, Jeezy basically said, "Listen, man, I got this idea, I got this concept, I got this vision, and I want to do a tape with you." You know what I'm saying? And it'd be all new music, it'd be my shit. And I was like, cool. And that was the first time I ever got paid for a mixtape. They gave me $1,000, coaching Jeezy to do the Streets Is Watching. And I'm not gonna front, like, I'd never, when we first sat down or when I first did that tape, I definitely didn't know what was about to happen. Like, I can't, I got lucky, like, you know what I'm saying? And so did Jeezy. Like, it was just an impeccable mesh at the time. And I remember, what's my man named Jay from Raw Report. When I first finished Streets, shout out to Jay from Raw Report. When I first finished Streets Is Watching, and when we originally put it out, and when we put it out, now mind you, you got to think this is a time when, like, BMF is in every club. Meech is handing 100 bottles to everybody with a black T-shirt on. I remember Kingy B, Jeezy, and Coach. It was Birthday Bash 2004. Because it was Birthday Bash 2004 when Streets Is Watching came out, and they gave out like 10,000 just at Birthday Bash alone, and you couldn't go nowhere in the city without getting the Streets Is Watching Young Jeezy tape. And at the time, people didn't know who Jeezy was yet, so when they were handing them out, they would say, "This is the new Gangsta Grillz." You know what I'm saying? Now it make people check it out and listen to it. And Jay from Raw Report is the first person to tell me, like, "Yo, that's your best tape ever." And I was like, "Word? The new guy?" You know what I'm saying? And he goes, "Yo, that shit is impeccable." So Streets Is Watching becomes this, like, cult classic in the city. Jeezy is fucking your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. He's on fire. And Coach says to me, like, "Yo, John, you got to come to one of the shows. Like, you got to see how they reacting to this shit." So we went to, like, I don't remember if it was Alabama or it was somewhere, in the chilling circuit. And I just saw the response. And again, like, Jeezy is 100% correct. Like, it wasn't Streets Is Watching and Trap or Die. DJs had to play the music off the tape with my drops and my talking on it. So niggas almost got comfortable or used to, like, hearing me or having to play the music with me because you couldn't get it nowhere else and you had to play it. You know what I'm saying?
And it sounded good.
Yeah.
The voice was good. The voice was super good. No
Good looking.
Let's rhyme.
Good looking. And it was those tapes too that you're speaking about my voice. It was like Jeezy kind of pushed me to, like, really talk that talk on the tapes. Like, he was like, "Yo, I want you to go crazy." And that was when I started to really find my voice. And I was trying to, like when I think about mixtapes, I always look at them like, I always look at mixtapes like before me, in a sense where if you would listen to the other guys, they would be like, "Yo, shout to so and so," or "Shout to 125th Street," or Dave's, or what I'm saying, just regular shout outs. And I used to do that too. But when I started Gangsta Grillz and it really became those street albums, I realized that I wanted to do more than just give shout outs and, like, just name the stores that were selling my tape. Like, I wanted to almost give like speeches in a sense. So I would listen to the words of the song and the hooks and everything, and I would go on top of that and try to make what I was saying make sense to that. You know what I mean?
That was dope. You did. I definitely caught on to that. It's ill because while I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and then I'm thinking about the person I knew at the time, you really, really, really have a deep level of focus. And maybe because you don't do a whole lot, weren't doing a whole lot of talking at the time, that I had no idea that you was this deeply focused and playing from a long standpoint. That's some shit that a nigga really gotta respect, bro.
I appreciate that. Good luck.
Salute the shit out of that. So now you
people don't really realize that. It's funny because I talk about this with Cannon all the time because I'm actually quite an introverted person in a sense.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to.
Nah, it's cool. Nah, I'm a very introverted person, and you know I'll be in surroundings, or I'm the quiet guy. You know what I'm saying? But when you hear me on the tapes, or when you hear me at the club, or when I'm performing, I'm boisterous, and you know, like in those situations.
We back.
Like when you hear me in the clubs and you hear me on the tapes and everything, like, you know, I'm DJ Drama, but outside of that, like, yeah, I'm kind of the quiet guy. And it's funny because people think I'm the outgoing one and Cannon's the quiet one. And Cannon's really like, in personal life, he's the funny guy. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, he's the introvert in the career, on the career side, and I'm the introvert in the real life side. You know what I'm saying?
How about that? That's dope. That's interesting. Really interesting. So, okay. You're getting really hot now. Like when I say hot, really hot. Life is starting to change for you. How are you feeling? How is everything for you? Not in the world level, in DJ Drama. What am I feeling like when I get up now in the morning? What do my days look like? What am I thinking about? Tell me about that.
I always, when I first like started to really feel like, all right, I'm here, like I've arrived, or like, oh, this shit is really happening. It was almost like more pressure for me because I felt like I spent so many years trying to get there. So if I think about it, I started DJing in '92. I really started to make real money in like '04, '05. So for me, it was like, all right, now that I got here, how do I stay here? You feel what I'm saying? And I felt like I had seen a lot of DJs or people just like kind of have a moment. And I was like, for me, I never wanted it to just be a moment. Like I was like, all right, now that I'm here, I'm gonna be motherfucking here. Like I want to be one of the greats. So with that being said, like I always felt like, what comes next? Like I never got content or comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And like after I did Trap or Die, I was like, damn, what the fuck can I do next? Like, how am I gonna top this? And that for me was such a moment because, you know, I had shout out to Holiday, what's up? I all my dreams came true with that tape. I went everywhere in the country and I heard my voice. Everybody knew who I was. Like, you know, some of the greats in hip hop were saluting me and showing me respect and calling my phone and saying they wanted to work with me. And it was like, you know, I was on the road with T.I. at the time, so I was like in my bag, but I was like, all right, I gotta stay razor sharp focused. And after Trap or Die, dedication came. Oomp is there.
Oomp is in the building.
Shout out to Big Oomp, man, the fucking icon, the legend.
Yeah, them niggas did that. Monte, what up?
They set the stage.
Absolutely. So go ahead, I want you to pick up right where you left off. This is important. You remember?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, you know, for me, it was like, what's going to come next?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I was on fire at the time, and it was like, you know, I was getting real looks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I had my goal, like around that time, I had wanted to be in magazines, and you know, I wanted to be known. Like, I wanted to be that guy, and it was really coming, and I was just like, it was happening at a fast pace. And, you know, thankfully, again, my connection to T.I. helped as well, you know, because Tip was becoming the hottest artist in the game. And he has a DJ who's becoming the hottest DJ in the game. So we were like, you know, it was like a 1-2 punch in a sense. And then here I am, like, you know, mixtape after mixtape, like just making history. So, and what happened with Wayne was, you know, I was actually on tour with T.I. at the time. It was like 04, 05, and Tip was on the phone with Wayne, and I was just at my bunk, and I heard them talking, and I was like, yo, let me holler at Wayne real quick. So we talked. That was the first time we had ever really busted up, and I was like, "Yo, we got to do one." And he was like, "Bet, like I'm with it." He came to Atlanta. He was over at Patchwork, and I brought him a bunch of beats and everything. And mind you, this is like pre-Carter Wayne, so he wasn't obviously the monster. He was becoming the monster that he is now. But when we did Dedication, I remember I came up with the concept. I told it to him, and I started to really like find my formula in the tapes, and I would like write out a whole script for artists to read, and Wayne like obliged me with everything that I wanted to accomplish with the tape. My man Rob Petrozo, who used to do all our artwork at the time, gave an iconic.
That cover was amazing.
Yeah, that shit
amazing.
I think about like when I see like people simulate the cover now and do various things with Dedication. I'm like, man, who would ever knew? Like, those are the things that are special. Like, that makes me really be thankful to be a part of the culture. Like, to be part of something that people have like went on and been influenced by and want to do. And Dedication was such a big thing because I was really I had broken in like the tri-state mixtape market and everything, and I was moving thousands of units up top because of the name Gangsta Grillz at the time and the Wayne tape and the cover. Like Wayne really got hot on the East Coast, and a big part of it was because of Dedication. You know what I'm saying? And just the bars that he was really spitting on there. Like the Carter was out, the Dedication came out, and it was just like that shit was like. It was like I said, like after Trapper died, I was like, damn, now Dedication. What do I do next? You know what I mean? And it just kept going.
That Dedication tape led Lil Wayne to be in New York for a summer with Joel Santana and them running around doing all of that. I never thought about that till I just listened to that right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you pull off that iconic thing with Lil Wayne. Now you're on a whole nother level in your career. What was the next bridge you had to do to keep yourself at that height? What did you come up with? What were you thinking about? Because you're like, fuck, how do I top this shit right here? I'm like, what are you going to do now?
The album, having to do an album. I had always like, the ironic part about it is, I didn't even think about doing an album until that situation happened with the Super Friends. Because I remember after that happened, I did a mixtape, and just to kind of be petty, I put on the back of the cover like Gangsta Grillz album coming soon.
I remember that shit.
Hey yo, Bart, I rode more miles than you did today. That's for sure. All right, let me get back to work. So that was where the whole idea came to even do a Gangsta Grillz album, and I was like I said, I was just scorching. I was on fire, Biddy. Like I was really on fire.
Fish grease fire.
Yeah, like
you know how hot that grease is. That's what you was.
So
facts on facts.
So Tip was over at Tip was already at Atlantic, and I was actually I got a lot of offers to do my album at a lot of labels. Like we took a lot of meetings, me, Cannon, and Sense, with various people. I remember I sat with TVT. I remember I talked to Def Jam. BL was trying to bring me over there. But out of loyalty and respect and the situation, I did my deal at Grand Hustle via Atlantic through Atlantic, and I was already familiar with the building, what have you, and from being there with Tip and everything, and it seemed like the best fit for me. So I guess the album was for me where it was like, all right, it's next level time. Like, how do I top what I've done in the mixtape game? Like, all right, let me try to put an album out.
Was it hard for you to put together an album? Did you do it the same way you put together Gangsta Grillz, or how did you go about saying, okay, how do I make something that's going to keep me high? What did you do? How did you think this through?
Well, it was a little different because we kind of took it from a point of like really making records, not just like having people give us records. Like, you know, the original basis of it was us going in and, you know, finding beats and, you know, then going to the artists and getting hooks and getting verses and things like this. It's very complicated. You know what I mean? Like, for anybody that's tuned in or any other DJs that have worked on records or songs or what have you, they know, like, I'm at, one song in itself is complicated enough, because even after you make the record, you still got to get clearances. You know, you got to go through the business side of it. You know, trying to shoot a video is complicated. So, you know, to do an actual album is like 10 times that or 50 times that. And yeah, so we started the album probably '06. Like, we started really working '06 when I got my deal. And then the beginning of '07, everything changed and it was a little different scenario and playing field.
Did you get frustrated at all with all of the restrictions that you had to deal with now doing an album in comparison to being able to do it how you want it, when you want it, where you want it? Yes, you had to kind of follow some guidelines.
It was a learning process. I mean, I wouldn't say I got frustrated. It was just, you know, the side of the game that I wasn't early on familiar with. But, you know, like, anybody, like most artists, you know, your first album is like, it's a hard one because you're trying to put your whole life into the album. Like, this is it. Like, I just got here. I'm trying to do it all. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
You know, that first album, I think about, like, you know, I could have kept a couple of them records for the next album. But, yeah, so that first one going into it, it was like I was trying to tell my whole life story in a sense. And, you know, the raid happened, so it gave me a storyline, which kind of helped in a sense for where I was trying to go with it.
Okay. I'm going to ask a quick question and we're going to talk about that, Ray. Did the results of the album, was it what you wanted it to be? Were you satisfied with what you did? Would you have changed anything?
I was actually quite satisfied with my first album. I think that that for being a first and for being a learning curve and you know, again, trying to put my whole life into it, like, yeah, it's a good album. I think my first week I did like 78,000, you know. Good looking.
Yes.
You know, I had a record with fucking Outkast on my album.
That's
like,
right.
And who can say that? You know, no DJ can say that. The only thing I would have done, the Feds Taking Pictures record, I would have liked to have done a video with that.
Mm-hmm.
We should have did a video for Canon Remix. And the Outkast record, I should have did a video for that. So that's the only thing looking back on it. If I knew now what I knew then, I would have, because I remember, Andre 3000, you know, cause he did the song on the strength. And then when it was time to, you know, we started to push that as a single. And when it came to the video, he was like, yo, I'll do it. Just give me 100,000. And I think at the time, my thought process was, wow, I can't afford or get the label to give me 100,000. And that was fucking foolish. You know what I'm saying? That was just not knowing at the time. Like, nigga, cut that man a check for 100,000. That's right. 103,000. He don't do videos. I'm about to give you a Grammy Award winning record. You know what I mean? If we really do this the right way. Cause that was a powerful record. So yeah, you know, I'm very proud of my first project. Like, you know, and just the fact that I'm a fucking DJ with an album. I mean, you can probably count on two hands how many DJs can say they have albums, and I got 6 of them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's a blessing.
That's impressive. That is fucking impressive, man. Real fucking talk. You always should have a motherfucking put your goddamn chest out, man. Hell yeah, 6 albums. So, I had a question in my mind. You said 6 albums. I was like, damn, I didn't even realize that it was that many albums. That's dope. Okay, so let's go to the raid. When the raid first happened, what did you feel like?
When it first happened, I felt like life is over. When they came to our doorstep with them M16s drawn, with them Tahoes and them helicopters, like, they put me on the ground and you know, I thought it was a mistake. Like, I ain't even, you know what I mean? Like, it was the first day back from holiday. It was like Martin Luther King holiday. We were in there working, like, going over my album. Infamous had just moved all his equipment into the studio, like, that day or something. And, you know, I got a call, like, yo, them boys is coming to see y'all. Like, y'all might want to make a move. Shout out to my man Jason Brown, too. You know, who was down with the team at the time. And, you know, I went outside to move my car, and they, you know, they pulled up. We was on Walker Street. They pulled up from all angles and everything and jumped right out and, you know, pulled them guns on us or pulled them on me. I was the only one outside at the time. You know, told me to get on the ground, and then I'm still, you know, I was calm because I'm still thinking it was a mistake. And then when they asked for my ID, and then, you know, they said my name and they went on the, you know, the intercom thing and was like, yeah, that's one of the perps. I was like, what the fuck? And, you know, they stood me up and they said, Tyree Simmons, you're being arrested for bootlegging and racketeering under the RICO law. You know, that's like, nigga, like, what? You feel me?
Me? You like, yeah. Me? Come on.
Yeah, like I really got hit with the RICO. You know the song RICO? Yeah, I really got hit with the RICO. So they locked me in Canada. You know, we're down, we're in Wright Street. You know, niggas is telling us we on the news and what have you. And then, you know, overnight, this free drama and cannon campaign starts in hip hop, and it becomes this major thing. Like, you know, that like I was, you know, I was the king at the time. Like I was mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for them to come for me, like, it was just, you know, it was preposterous to think, like, what, they lock drama up, like drums that
can't lock drama up. Can't
yeah,
lock drama up.
Like, he's not the. It just didn't make any sense, but they definitely locked drama up, and so yeah, I remember, like, I remember I got home, I remember talking to Tip, and, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, it's good, I still got all, you know, my bank accounts are straight and everything. He was like, what, bro? Go check your bank account. They hit you with the RICO. So I went online. I went to my bank account. That shit said 0.00. I started crying.
Your heart dropped right then and there. Your heart probably dropped.
Yo, I started crying. It was a sad day.
Okay, we don't want.
Thankfully, I've always had very motivating people around me. Mm-hmm. And I've never been one to surround myself with yes men or just, you know, I've always had real friends around me. So at the time that happened, I had enough of a support group that was like, yo, Drum, fuck this. We're going to make this the biggest thing ever. Like, what? They just made you hotter than ever. Like, you're going into the history books. You know, and so we was able to turn, you know, a negative into a positive. And I remember, yeah, you know, it was, you know, lemons into lemonade. I remember that year Super Bowl was in Miami, and I was, you know, I went to do some gigs, and I'm just walking on Collins. And before that, people knew me, like they knew me a little bit, like people who were in the know and the real mix of hip hop and mixtapes and everything. But after that raid happened, like it was different. Like, you know, I started taking pictures with girls and, you know, just different types of shit.
Happening now.
Yeah, it was, you know, all types of races was recognizing me, and it was like, it was just a different type of notoriety. And I was like, oh, this might not be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to make the money back threefold.
All right. What's your favorite album that you dropped of the 6?
Quality Street Music, the first one, definitely. The one that has my moment on it. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a time that the affiliates had artists in the early days. Willie the Kid being
Shout out to Willie the Kid.
Right. Shout out to Willie the Kid being one of the first ones. Then fast forward, maybe 2010, 12, somewhere around there. The affiliates become a record label with artists. Bring me in there. Walk me through how that took place, because this is another turn in your career. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, come on. Let's talk about this turn, because this turn has a lot in it.
definitely. So basically, I guess, for the first couple albums that I had made, as proud of them as I am, I don't really feel that I ever had made like a hit record. You know what I'm saying? I had some good records. I
Okay.
had some cultural records, but I didn't have a hit record.
Okay.
Um, 2010, I was kind of like transitioning in my career, and I didn't even want to really do albums anymore. And I wound up putting this record together called Oh My, and it was Wiz Khalifa, Roscoe Dash, and Fabulous. And I was kind of out of. Actually, I was actually getting out of my deal at Atlantic. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to let Atlantic let me go, and then I had to, so I had to do a lot of the clearances of that record on my own, and I was kind of out of the deal, and I made that record, and it started to bubble, and it started to really gain some traction. And a lot of the time that I would work my records, I would still work a lot with a lot of the people that I knew from Atlantic, whether it was in the promo department or the video department. So I used people that I had already known. And then E1 came to me to do a deal because, Omar was picking up steam, and I wound up doing a deal. I wound up doing a deal with E1, also known as Koch, um, for like 2 albums or something. And I did Oh My over there. Oh My took off. The record went. It was my first top 20 hit.
Wow.
And
Wow. Dope.
so for me it was like, all right, I finally like felt like I had a real hit record. And then from that, around that time, I started to work a lot with Lake. Lake and Pat, we as far as like on the road and then in the studio, and me, and after that album, I did that album, was called Third Power. And after that album, I started to work on Quality Street Music, and I pretty much I was built. We had decided to move from Walker Street,
Mm-hmm.
and I bought the building over in Main Street, and I started to build it. But as I was building, I was at Poppy's putting together Quality Street Music. So long story short, I'm working on these albums, and then on Quality Street Music, I did My Moment. My Moment was even bigger record than Oh My, and I started to really gain some traction with making real records. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So the idea came for me to get an A&R job at Atlantic. My man Sam Crespo, he was working my records at the time. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna mention to the powers that be, like, Drum is really out here putting together some good records. Y'all might want to bring them in." So I had a meeting with Craig Kalman and Michael Kaiser, somewhere around like 2013. And, we started to discuss me coming aboard on the A&R side. And, again, I had already been in that building, as an artist. So I had kind of knew the system and knew the key figures. So, it was kind of a no-brainer for me as far as like coming back into that system. Although being an A&R was somewhat new for me. So,
Okay.
so part of that job, part of, when they were about to hire me, I told them like, "Yo, by the way, I'm building a studio in Atlanta. Maybe you guys can come aboard, and it can be kind of like a hub for your artists, um, for Atlantic in Atlanta." And KP, Kiwan Prather was VP at Atlantic at the time. And so, they reached out to KP, was like, "Yo, go check Drom's spot out." KP came over. He loved it. He was like, "Yo, I'm with it." And when I did my deal at Atlantic to be an A&R consultant, they also came aboard with Mean Streets as far as being partnering with me over there. So
Okay. That's dope.
that started my my A&R career over at Atlantic. Around the same time, me, Cannon, and Lake and Sense, and we were like, there were a couple artists that we had kind of, I felt like I had kind of, in a sense, missed out on. Like, with all due respect to those artists and their situations, like, and I don't want to say I was supposed to sign them or, um, but I think about Tory Lanez, I think about OT Genesis, I think about the Migos. Those were all people that very early on we had interest in before they became real superstars and had deals.
Wow.
And we told each other, like, yo, we're not gonna miss no more. Like, we're not missing no more opportunities. If some, next person that comes, we just got to jump out there with it. You know what I'm saying? So, one day in Mean Streets, Cannon comes to me and was like, yo, I heard this kid in Philly named Lil Uzi Vert. And I remember just saying to him, man, get him, run it. I never heard a song. I never heard any music. I just knew we didn't want to miss any more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
I love that. I love that.
So yeah, that's how that happened.
And that shit took off.
Yeah, so
it took you to a whole nother level. Now you went up to, with this, you don't went to another level. So give me a little bit. And so we don't want to keep everybody too long. So I got one thing I want to do here to my left, and I want you to tell me about the next level, how that felt, and where you are right now.
It felt like, again, like, man, I did it. Like, like, as much as I had accomplished, I guess that was another part of like the checklist, like, get an artist popping, you know what I'm saying? And like, to come out the gate with Uzi. And the funny thing about it is that, I was very close to losing my job at Atlantic. Like, after maybe, I think I did like a 2-year deal at first. And, they were trying to put me with different artists and that were already signed in the building, and Mean Streets wasn't really bringing in the money for them that, that they had thought it was.
Right.
And they came to me and it was like, look, Drum, we're going to give you another year. We believe in you. We just want you to, we're just going to let you focus on Uzi. Y'all do y'all thing. Don't worry about nothing else in the building. And we're going to, cover the rent of Mean Streets and like see how this shit goes. And I remember even being in the A&R meeting and them telling me like, yo, you got to get Uzi hot in Philly. He's local. Like, we got this other artist in Philly that's popping, and you got to get your man hot. And I told him like, yo, it's not 2003 anymore. Like, you don't have to get hot in Philly or your backyard to be that guy anymore. Like, shit lives on the internet. Like, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different ball game. And once again, we went against the grain when it came to Bert and how he took off. And I took him on tour with me. So his first shows were in front of 15,000 people with me, Wiz Khalifa, Fall Out Boy, and we really broke that kid. And he put out his first project under our label with Love Is Rage, and it was like it caught, and next thing you know, Uzi was on fire. And it was a proud moment, It was like, we did it. But at the same time, it's very bittersweet because obviously, the world is very aware that, there's been some back and forth between me and Uzi or our label and Uzi or what have you. And, like, not to dwell on it that much, but I can definitely say with my head high that I've never done anything but help the kid or tried to make him rich or, make his career be what it is. And, I'm very proud of him, what he's accomplished. But what I was saying, it made me feel like, all right, I gotta prove myself again. You feel what I'm saying? So it was like, as proud of a moment that it was like, all right, now they're gonna be like, oh well, we got lucky. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, all right, that's cool. Watch what we do next. And shout out to my man Jack Harlow. He makes me.
That's right. Jack Harlow is on fire. Jack Harlow is definitely on fire. You know what, Drum? You know what the fuck? As I sit here and I walk through, yo, you've been hot for a long time. Like the fire never went out.
But it's crazy. You're lucky. It's crazy because I'm probably not as in the, and because my mixtapes aren't what they were. I still see a lot of comments or read things. People be like, "Whatever happened to Drama?" or "What's DJ Drama doing?" or what have you. And it's like, man, if they only knew. Like, I'm having some of the greatest. Yeah, I'm having some of the greatest years of my life. But it's a blessing, though. It's a blessing.
Listen, Drama. I first, before I even go into my last segment, I just really want to tell you that one, I appreciate this conversation. The gems that you've dropped and shared with all of these people that have come to check you, and I appreciate that because it's helping my platform grow a little bit and all that. So I super appreciate that. But I appreciate you as a person. You've always been the same person from the very first day I met you. And even with all of the stardom and the fame and everything, you still this even kill. Cool. You fresh as a motherfucker these days, though. I've noticed in the last 10 years, you've been fly as a motherfucker, my nigga. And I love that. I love
You're lucky.
I can tell you that you love Louis Vuitton. I know that. I'm like, oh, this nigga, look at Trump. That's my nigga Trump. So yeah, so I wanted to make you smile. So we're gonna end this today. I'm gonna show you something, and I want you to tell me the first thing you think about when I show you these things, okay? I think these are people who I feel are very important in your world. So let's go here. All right, we'll start with this one.
That's Mama Drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Come on, talk to me.
She's the reason why I'm here, the reason why, I go so hard. Like, not only just being a great mother, but just the ethics and the principles and the righteousness that she's instilled in me. I always appreciate, from hard work to consistency to focus to just love, you know what I'm saying? I've definitely been blessed.
Okay.
The Dramettes, Zari on the right, Avi on the left. Zari's 18, Avi's 13 in those pictures. We actually just got back from vacation. I took them to Rosemary Beach in Florida. Like, we just got back yesterday. We was there for a couple of days, but that's what I do it for. That's my babies. I love them to death, and I'm a proud girl dad. Rest in peace to Kobe. But it's funny because even before Kobe passed and that story from that L. Duncan told came out, I was just having a conversation maybe a month earlier, 2 months earlier with somebody, and it was like, don't you want a boy? And I was like, honestly, at this point, I really don't even care. Like, I like having girls, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm going to be taken care of for the rest of my life, regardless if I find a wife or not. I'm going to be okay. So, I'm a proud girl dad, and, they're my world.
Okay. All right. And I love this picture, by the way.
Yeah, that's a
good picture. Okay, tell me what these guys mean to you.
Man, I'm just so thankful that, like, just to think that, like, the guys that I met in fucking college when I was 18, 19, like, I got to make history with, like, like, not only are we friends, or not only are we business partners, or not only have we, like, been through it all, like, they're great guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, through it all, like, we're true friends, and when I say that, it's not like, like I was telling you, I have people around me that keep it very real with me. So, one of the reasons why I'm able to be, so grounded is because I don't keep people around me that's full of shit. Like, I keep real A1 people, and like, I love them niggas to death, and, BL and Lake, like, just
bro, you fucking up.
I'm sorry,
shit.
My bad, I'm sorry. My bad.
Just talk about the picture. I don't need you to.
Alright, my fault. My fault. But yeah, I mean, again, like, if it wasn't for Cannon and Sense, like, Gangsta Grillz, DJ Drama, like, I would have did some things, but it was because of what we did as a collective that I was able to be where I am right now.
Okay, so the next one, I don't have the picture because I'm slipping. BL, I'm sorry, my nigga. I was not thinking, so I didn't pull your picture. I really am sorry. BL is important, so act like his picture is right here. What does BL mean to you?
Again, it's the same things that I said about Cannon and Sense I could say about BL. Like, it's somebody that I've known for 20 plus years, comes from the same area as me, like, and to really be in this game and to experience and to be able to travel the world and make money together and just live the dream, like, it's nothing like having your friends that you can do business with, you know what I'm saying? And again, still have true valuable friends. Like, it makes me that much stronger, and BL is somebody that, you know, we after college we went separate ways for a bit, and then we linked back up, and it was like, you know, we never missed a beat. You know what I'm saying? And
I could tell.
we've been rocking ever since. Yeah. So that's my brother for life.
Okay, and I believe that this is.
He keeps me fresh too.
Oh, okay. BL, continue, my nigga. Continue, my nigga. Be fresh, and I love it. And I believe this was the last piece to the puzzle. And I left out Pat, but Pat came really late. So this guy right here.
Yeah.
And this picture right here says a lot. So you were the best man at his wedding?
I was. I actually gave the speech. I was the best man, and I had to give a speech during the ceremony. And I said that, you know, while I was giving that speech, I said how humbled I am to do it because Leighton Morrison has a lot of brothers that could have been the best man. So, you know, I was felt for him to make me the best man at his wedding, and for me to, you know, to give that speech, like it meant a lot to me because, you know, Lake's a very, what do I say? He's got a lot of friends. He's got a lot of good people in his life. And again, Lake is somebody I met in '96 on the strip at CAU. I was beatboxing. He was rapping. You know what I mean? Yeah, like we go that far back. You know,
did not know y'all went that far back.
We go that far back. When my freshman year at CAU was his freshman year at Morehouse. So, you know, he was part of this rap group called Cult of Icon. I was doing my rap thing, and we would always cross paths. And you know, again, that's somebody that, you know, through the years we was cool, and we were running in the same circles. And he went on to go do his thing, and I was doing my thing. And then, you know, about over a decade ago, we linked back up, and we've been like this ever since. And
it's like brothers, bro.
Yeah,
it's like brothers.
And it's like, you know, again, like I said, like it's no better feeling than able to get money and be in business with like your real friends. You know what I mean? So, you know, Lake's been a real blessing to my life, man. I value him and appreciate him very much.
Okay, so to close out on your team, there's a couple people that I want to say thank you that they're over there with y'all. My guy Gemini, that's my guy.
Shout the Roy
so happy. He's over there with you. He speaks super highly of you and the team. My man Willie Joe, I love him to death.
Amazing.
So that's another one. The homie Pat. And so listen, John, please don't stop what you're doing, brother. Don't stop what you're doing. Don't stop what you're doing. I'm loving you from afar, even if I ain't in your face.
I love you too, man.
My brother.
I love you too, bro.
I appreciate you taking all this time out with me today. This was special. This was great. Have a wonderful night, my brother. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
All right,